If anything, I'll drive.
Anyway. Hey, and this honestly might be our longest episode thus far is our first episode. This might be the longest one.
Okay, cool. I done broke a record
I feel
while
like
I'm
we're
there.
about to hit a milestone right now.
It's cool.
But yeah, so this is the AGM conclusion dialogue. Our tradition here, I told you about it last night. This is like our ending controversial topic, and due to the R. Kelly trial going on, I thought it was a good time to ask y'all: is we muting R. Kelly?
Fuck R. Kelly. That's all I got to say about that. Fuck R. Kelly. I ain't gonna lie, that nigga a pedophile, bro. Like, you married Aaliyah while she was 16, bro. Like, that alone was like...
Would you listen to his music?
I didn't listen to R. Kelly before this. I'm not gonna say
that's why you didn't care.
Hold on, pause. Time out. Hold on, pause. Hold on. Let me say
that's
this.
That's like saying cancel Jerry Lee Lewis. Nigga, you don't care. You didn't listen to him.
Hold on, pause. I'm not gonna sit up here and act like R. Kelly didn't have any talent, though. I'm not gonna sit up here and say like
you acted like Eminem, didn't?
That's Eminem, though. Damn it, Eminem, though.
Yes,
He don't. Back to R. Kelly.
He do.
Back to Robert Kelly.
He do.
I'm not gonna sit up here and act like he ain't wrote some of the greatest songs of all time. Like he ain't sung some of the greatest songs of all time. Matter of fact, hold on. I had listened to what's the soap opera thing, the singing thing. I did. Trapped in the Closet. Yeah, I did.
Not Weird Al's version.
Hey, the YouTube version.
That's my shit. Weird Al's version, he went in. He did his shit, but no.
But yeah, Trapped in the Closet, that was like a huge, like, kind of like different thing to bring to the whole game. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not going to act like what he did wasn't like groundbreaking and things like that, but nigga, like, bro, we talk about Michael Jackson and R. Kelly in the same boat.
That was my point, nigga.
Okay,
R.
that's
Kelly's
fine.
Canceled, Michael Jackson ain't. That was my whole point.
But what I'm saying is, if you got one person who come out and said that they lied and was trying to get money and shit, the one scammer that did try to get I don't know about the other situation. Like I said, I don't know about the other accusations, because when this accusation came out, I was literally a little kid. Like, the only thing I knew Michael Jackson
That's
for.
fair. I didn't know. I didn't know how young you was. I thought you was closer to my age.
No. Like, that's what I'm saying. So, like, for me, like, you don't even really know what's going on. Like, it's like you just heard Michael Jackson touch some little kids, and like your mom was like, we don't listen to him no more. Like, you know what I'm saying?
And that's if your family was the one to believe that he did it, because other ones would be like, he didn't do that shit.
Like I said,
and that's what most black families did. I don't know what world that nigga was living in.
But what I'm saying,
most black families was saying like, nah, Michael Jackson ain't touched them boys. He ain't touched them kids. All the comedy. The only one that was bold enough to call out Michael Jackson was Cat Williams. That was the only comedian I remember on the platform that was bold enough to call him out.
What I say happened is probably this. He was doing little kid shit as a grown-ass man trying to get his childhood back because of what childhood he had. And that's what made it so fucking wrong. But at the same time, I will not put anything past anybody. I will not put anything past I'm not saying for a fact he did not do it.
I said, talking about Michael, right?
Yeah, I said I think this may have happened. If you look at his childhood and his track record about his childhood, he was one of the biggest stars since about age 7. He didn't have any childhood. Definitely not with his father. So
there's a lot of black kids ain't had no childhood.
I get that. Hold on. Let me finish my statement. Hold on.
All right, go ahead.
Hold on.
I've got something to talk about.
So then you got this man. He went and bought that big ass ranch for what? He bought a fucking
to attract kids.
No, hold on, bro.
Are you serious?
Dead serious.
Okay.
Bro, with a big ass amusement park, bro. That is something a kid would do. That is something somebody who wanted a childhood back would do. But like I said, I do not know what the fuck happened.
Let me ask you
this,
because I love when y'all bring the whole he ain't have a childhood thing. He was just trying to recapture that. If you was watching a interview right now of a 42-year-old man, right, who was accused of touching little boys, and you see the interviewer ask him, do you think it's okay for you to sleep in a bed with children that aren't yours? And he smiles and says, yes, I think that's a beautiful thing. How would you respond to that?
Once again, like I said, I'm not putting it past him. I'm not saying that he definitely didn't do it. That's why I said.
Very small, very grand scheme of things. Can I help? Can I?
Go,
Okay.
But Michael Jackson did say that though.
Okay,
Fair enough. I'm not saying he didn't.
That's one interview moment, and that's fine. He might have.
It's one disgusting interview moment to say that.
But I hear you. But he's human. That's where mental health and humanity and giving a break comes in. And I get you.
Y'all crazy.
And I hear you. But I'm saying.
Crazy. Y'all know if that was any regular
JC, can I say my
42-year-old.
point?
That's what we're saying.
Like,
He's
come on,
not
bro.
regular. He
JC.
was not regular.
Yes, he is, because his name is Michael Jackson.
Bro.
That gives him a stamp like,
Listen, I'm not
something
saying-
that we would criticize a regular 42-year-old man for. It's cool for you to say that. We're gonna just roll past that. That's cool for you to say. It's okay for you to sleep in a bed with children that aren't yours. That's okay for you to say because you're Michael Jackson.
I did not say that was okay to say.
My nigga,
I'm not
once
saying
again,
that.
You're talking about one moment. Can we get out of that one moment for a second? I want to get back to what he was saying because me and my mom have openly had conversation about this where I've broken this down. That exact thing where it's like, yes, we are talking about, let's go to psychology for a moment. A child and a man who psychologically was stripped from any chance of being a normal fucking child, period. He was doing Jackson 5 from the time he was 5. Mm-hmm. They was all talented and doing shit. With Joe Jackson as a father, from what they say, his abusiveness and the rigidness of them being entertainers only, why wouldn't you create an amusement park when you've never got a chance to be in one? Or the few times you did, you were mobbed the whole time and you didn't get a chance to be on a fucking Ferris wheel. You didn't get a chance to be on a fucking merry-go-round. You didn't get a chance to be a kid, period. I'm not saying that him and the accusations or what I feel like very well could have happened with him molesting children, I'm not saying that that's right. But I'm not saying that he was a normal motherfucker because he was capable of doing these things. No, he was still mentally troubled and had his own mental hangups and traumas that led to the adult that he ended up being, which is someone who is half trapped in an adolescent child mind, trying to tap into a life that he can't no longer have out of morals and other things, but he can't truly see that because there is a disconnect mentally of how he was raised, how he has a relationship with people. He had to learn a weird lesson on connections and relationships with people in general, friends, family, otherwise, right? Mm-hmm. As that growing into a man, I'm not saying it's right to abuse kids because you wasn't able to be one. I'm saying that the little things that are sus-ass behavior, him getting a monkey and having an amusement park as his house and shit like that, that shouldn't be looked at as strictly pedophile behavior, period. Because for him, he was trying to capture something that he wasn't able to do as a kid with no say. Now you are finally in an age group to where you have the money. Any adult, just like us, any adult who wasn't able to do something when they was a kid and has the money and opportunity to do it as an adult will do it, period. If I wasn't able to go to the fucking aquarium when I was a kid, or go roller skating, or go to the fucking zoo or a safari park when I was a kid, I'm going to do that shit 3 times over when I'm an adult because I finally have the time and money and chance to.
Just like you said, I was hanging up on one point with the interview. Now you're doing that with the amusement park. Because that's the only part of it that you're addressing right now.
Well,
and not the fact that he had a bunch of 8-year-old friends and sleeping in the bed with a bunch of 8-year-old kids.
But you're missing that. I'm making that
point.
Because
those are the things why I think more than anything that he did what they said he did. And it's not about him having an amusement park. I just made the comment.
I'm just saying that is something that people looked at as a sign of predatory behavior. Just like you had just said, why did he have an amusement park?
Right. No, I did. But that's along with everything else.
I'm saying...
Not so.
But I'm saying that his upbringing... I'm sorry if I seemed fixated on that, but his whole upbringing affected his relationships with people. His experiences with people. Kids are little people. Unfortunately, if he wasn't able to be a kid at that age group, to have friends with kids in that age group, he doesn't know what kids in that age group are like. Unfortunately, it doesn't make it right as a 42-year-old to try to find out what 8-year-olds are like.
Yeah, hell no.
It doesn't make it right. No. Is he wrong for making advances, crossing boundaries that shouldn't be crossed? Absolutely. Did he need help? I believe wholeheartedly. And everybody's seeing him as just a superstar, just this competent person who didn't have no trauma or just got abused a little bit or just got, deprived a little bit, but as if it didn't make a difference. It made a difference.
I don't think that was their mentality. I think it's the fact that you're not the only 42-year-old who didn't have a childhood.
Sure.
There's people who have went through
far
worse
than
That's what she's saying.
You're not one of the biggest superstars in the world.
that's
like Michael Jackson was.
I mean, no, that part is fair as far as all, but he has plenty of other weirdo behavior that I can defend when it comes to
That's
that.
fair.
Other
But what
than
she's
the
trying to
kids.
get at is
It's
nobody.
foundational differences. That's what I'm trying to say.
Nobody who does that to kids, no serial killer is right in the head. We're not saying that their actions that they are doing is condoned. What we're saying is that there was something that caused this. That's what we're
People
getting at.
look past the foundation. What made them these? That's why I got into serial killers. People are fixated on it's a monster. They're heinous. They're evil. They're this. Not looking at what made them this. Them being abused for all of their life. Them not being raised in a time period where psychological advances weren't known about, or certain therapy. There was insane asylums. There was lobotomies. There was electroshock therapy. Being gay mean that you had to get shocked out of your mind or shit poked through your. It's just a lot to where it's all circumstantial. For me, like I said, my thing is I'm not excusing per se and saying that with certain adults that are bad and what they do as adults are scot-free because of what they went through. I'm saying that people are looking at it as if they just went from out of the womb adult, out of the womb monster. They don't look at.
But that's a different conversation, though. That's a totally different
but
conversation than
doesn't that
calling
play a
out
part?
what you are.
But listen, doesn't that not play a part that the upbringing and the foundation and what happened prior to you
Well, yeah,
becoming an
everybody
adult?
got a story. So yeah, absolutely.
Exactly. But my thing is that the general masses, just like with serial killer, just like with any other monster or heinous person, they look at their current state and their current acts and their evil deeds, the negativity, not the trauma, the victimhood that they had went through, the shit that they went through leading up to that, to make them become the person, to be conditioned to think that this is love, to these things are, even think about certain abusive relationships. Some people are bred and conditioned to think, not bred, but conditioned to think that abuse is love. Hitting is love. Being emotionally evil and wicked with your tongue is love, and that's the only way to receive it. Some people are conditioned for that. I'm just saying people overlook the upbringing and the impact that all of that can happen to bring out this person who is doing all this weird ass shit.
Yeah.
They're not doing it just because they're doing it just to do it.
let me ask you something before we get back to Kels. I think Michael Jackson is the greatest entertainer to ever live. Michael Jackson is my favorite musician ever out of everybody. That includes hip hop, everything. I love all of his music. But I personally, in my opinion, don't know for a fact, but me personally, I think based on the evidence that I've seen that he touched on little boys. What is wrong with anything I just said?
We didn't say there was anything wrong with that.
I openly have said I believe that he probably did. I don't say that he is completely scot-free. I don't think that man is innocent. I think that he probably did based off of the evidence.
Well, because you was I don't know if you was talking to me or if you was just talking to the masses right now with that whole segue of like there's stuff that led to that, and that's what I meant by that's a separate conversation. I don't mean I can't call the nigga a pedophile if I think you a effing pedophile. I'm not. Just because of what your background was, and I'm not treating you different because you're Michael Jackson. Because everybody got a story. And sometimes people, as I'm sure what you think of R. Kelly, some people use their celebrity in order to do.
Yes, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? Evil stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
So I don't look at that as protection for you.
No, we
And
not.
I wasn't saying. I could have sworn throughout me talking this whole time, I said for people who think of this way, there is a lot of people. I didn't say a lot of JCs. I said a lot of people who tend to look at it as he came on the scene, he a monster. He came out the womb, he a monster. They don't want to look at any upbringing. They don't want to look at no history. They don't want to look at no childhood. That, like I said, I think that goes for the masses. That's a stigma with humanity. Serial killers, any monster, any infamous being or somebody who is not deemed as societally correct is always going to be overlooked for whatever they've been through and only looked at for what the current act is, period. That is common. That wasn't just for you. That was just in general. That's kind of how humans are. Unfortunately, that's how society is. That's how America is. That's how stigmas are. That's how social media is. That's how the internet is. It just sucks. Trends and all that. We can't help it at this point. Especially now, maybe 20 years ago, we might have had some type of chance. Now we can't help it.
I feel like a lot of people seem to forget, like, how can we avoid this situation again?
How do we
Is that that's more so?
But
What I'm
and
getting
I
at.
agree wholeheartedly with everything y'all saying. I was just saying it was a separate conversation. So the fact that y'all brought it to light, it felt like y'all was saying it.
Oh,
towards
my
me,
bad then.
Just simply saying
No.
he's a pedophile.
No. What I was trying to.
No, I was just making it clear for in general. It's not just that. It's not. I understand why you can feel that way. Like I mentioned previously, I'm not as sensitive for certain things that other people may be up in arms about, which is totally fine. I'm very desensitized. However, when it comes to it, like I feel like there was just for Michael Jackson. I don't know. We ended up segueing into that we did, but for that particular thing, it was more of a like, yeah, no, it's just for that particular person seeing even how he carried himself and stuff. It was very obvious throughout most of his life that he was stunted in growth mentally in some ways, like socially and otherwise. It was very obvious. So that's where I was just trying to. Let's not forget about what made him get this rep. What brought him to do these actions? What brought him to this light? He probably thought he was loving on them platonically or in general as showing love because maybe that's how he was taught. I don't know this man. I don't know. I wasn't there. I don't know nothing about that. But even for some of the accounts of some of the kids, they can even account for it didn't seem nefarious. This man is really confused. He's really.
That's what I'm saying. He was doing little kid shit as a grown man. And I'm not saying that is okay. That was not okay at all. That's not what I'm getting at. But like nobody really went to go try to save Michael in a sense. You feel me? Like from himself. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
Like for me,
That I'm with.
for me, like you said,
And there comes down to the time frame with psychological advances, psychology, mental health, like we just always
in
talk
the
about.
last 5 years alone
just got big, right?
have
We
just
started
grown
talking about it.
exponentially.
COVID, we just started really talking about it. And it's like realistically, there's people who are offenders that could have been saved or prevented or helped in certain
If this was a
facts.
conversation earlier.
A lot of
been able to be a conversation.
a lot of people didn't realize the magnitude of being on lockdown, like how prisoners are 24/7 until COVID happened, and then you saw a spike in suicides at home.
Right.
That's what I'm getting at. Even with R. Kelly, there is something mentally wrong with R. Kelly to think that these actions would be okay. You know, none of these people just got to that point and were out the womb, like she said, and just boom, oh yeah, I'm gonna be a serial rapist or I'm gonna be a serial killer. Just, like for me, like you said, you touch on serial killers and things like that. I'm born the same day as one of the most notorious serial killers of all time, Ted Bundy. So for me, and they say the zodiac that's most likely to become a serial killer, a zodiac that's most likely to become a serial killer is a Sagittarius. That is my freaking sign. So
I would say a Scorpio, but that's just.
but like, so for me, it was like, dang, I was like, what led him to this point? So I never get to this point. Right. Most people won't do that. And that's the issue. That's why you have so many people dealing with mental health right now and not know what's going on, even including myself.
They don't want to go to the root of it all.
That's
a big thing. The root, what started it, was the jumping off point. Because
like
things
even
have just happened.
like how she said, being stunted, mentally growing. There were like just until last year or the year before, I was still stuck on the day that my aunt had passed away from cancer. In my head, I was still 18 years old, even though I grew 3 years older. That's what it was. So for Michael to never get that whole chunk of your life, that's what it was. And like R. Kelly had alluded to, like his mom's friends would be supposedly touching on him and stuff like that, and thinking that shit is okay.
I think that shows the variables and the circumstantial differences because, okay, Mike started out when he was 5. R. Kelly was talented from about that age as well.
Yes, very much so.
However, he had learning disabilities with dyslexia or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Then it's like you was molested and touched by close family members, family friends. Then on top of that, you did blow up. You did tap into honing your talent. It did come with insecurities. I feel like the difference, at least face value outside looking in, it would be a lot easier to say that R. Kelly definitely used his fame more in a nefarious way than Michael Jackson did. Like his intentions were, good intentions paved the way to hell. So his intentions were a lot pure in theory than R. Kelly's is because R. Kelly knew he had the pull. When you out there out there checking out the outside of high schools, and
Yeah.
purposely going into food places across from the high school to get.
Like
people.
he was on like
You
some
were
Jeffrey
nefarious with
Epstein.
it.
Like
You were some really
Time out.
predatory shit.
Y'all not finna do
personally.
that, and y'all just defended. Oh, it's cool because he didn't have a childhood, so he made it.
I didn't say it was cool. I didn't say it was cool.
No,
JC,
look.
what he
look.
did. What he
I'm not
did
saying
is
y'all
not
said
okay.
what he did was cool. Look. Let me.
It's
finish.
not okay.
I'm not saying y'all said what he did was cool, but y'all were understanding of like, oh, he needed that because
I understand how R. Kelly got to that point.
But then y'all not about to on the
I
other hand say,
understand.
oh, R. Kelly went
Damn,
to
can we finish?
this
We
place
didn't
because
say that.
he had the capacity to know what he's doing of
I didn't
using
say
this.
all
As
that.
well.
But he did it. He
Okay,
did.
so what were you saying?
I'm saying that yes, as older, my nigga, I think it'll be a little hard to say that R. Kelly didn't have the arrogance to do what he needed to do, to be predatory, to have studios and beds set up in the fucking studio for people to sleep over. You don't think that's more of a negative and more predatory intent than before? Granted, different age groups, sure. Different types of people, different music artists, sure. For me, and this is my personal opinion, I don't know these men from Adam. I don't. Nor do I care to. Nor do I give a fuck about. One of them's dead. The other one's probably not too far from it. They're both geniuses and legends in their own right. However, from what I've seen from the information given, I can see that R. Kelly gave much more of a smarter, manipulative, predatory type of moving when it came to later in life with the people that his victims were. I mean, how can
Even
we,
though it was older women than the boys
But hold
Michael
on,
was dealing with.
because
and
this was.
I'm not saying that Mike didn't do his fair share. Sure, we all take a part. I'm just saying that he might have been a lot less knowledgeable in the sense of certain intent. There's a difference between doing some. I don't know how to explain it.
You basically don't give Michael that much credit.
In a sense of being a manipulative type of person
Because-
that has that kind of genius. Not in that sense. No, this nigga R. Kelly was calculated. Let's not forget that. He was calculating how he went after these women. Calculated.
Like, for example,
being
you
involved
remember
in
when
music
the
careers
video
with
came
Aaliyah
out that he
from
had
other
peed
shit.
on that girl? How was this still going on like another 15 years after? People told you peeing on that girl was wrong. You kept on going with it. You kept on doing what you doing.
Sophistication, or from the public view, I should say, did he have that kind of rep with being that kind of mastermind to be accused of a sex cult? Think about it, or sex slaves, or whatever.
I would have to believe that R. Kelly had a sex code or sex safe.
But I'm saying that
He did.
I don't believe that.
You don't believe?
Nah.
There's a whole documentary on Netflix.
I didn't watch the documentary.
There's multiple
I'ma tell you
documentaries
why-
about this.
I'm gonna tell you why I didn't watch that documentary. Because, and this is another person. It wasn't just Michael Jackson. In 2015, far before that documentary came out, there was a post that went around saying, "Oh, Hugh Hefner messes with 18-year-old girls, and y'all don't say nothing. But R. Kelly has a 19-year-old girlfriend, and y'all killing him." And
I
on the
wouldn't kill him
caption,
for a
on the
19-year-old
caption, I wrote, the difference is R. Kelly is an effing pedophile who's been caught with teenagers before. That's the difference. So you're talking to somebody who has been calling R. Kelly a pedophile. There's no documentary that can change that for me. When you married a 15-year-old in the 90s
Fair
and that was
enough.
a no,
I think
that was factual.
Yes.
You did that. That video that you were in, you did that. So if y'all didn't cancel this nigga in '94 when he's sitting on an album cover that says
Oh,
Asian
I've been
got
saying
nothing
he
but a
ain't
number, and that was just normal. I remember asking adults about that, like that was cool. Like nobody
Yeah.
said nothing about that.
Yeah.
And then he had the sex tape and still went on to probably be
Agreed.
as big as he ever was.
Agreed.
Nobody said nothing about canceling R. Kelly. So now because they got some smear campaign, I'm supposed to jump on that bandwagon. I've been calling him a pedophile, but I've always known how to separate the art from the person. So it didn't affect me as much. I feel the way I feel about you. I feel the way I feel about Michael and whatever other trash celebrity there is out there. I separate that from that. So there was no need for me to watch no documentary of some smear campaign because y'all knew he was an easy target because he really is a pedophile that kept messing with little girls and kept trying to play with fire and say, oh, she was 17 or, oh, she's 19 and you 50-something years old. And on top of all of that, R. Kelly ain't the only effing one. There's
I'm
plenty
not
other than...
saying-
None of them niggas is okay. If we get that out the way, none of them is okay.
What you just said with him knowing what he was doing, getting with a 15, do you get what my point when I said that he was a little more manipulative, a little more knowing what he's doing as far as being a mastermind, the shit with dealing with people.
Like how
as
you just said,
opposed-
he's stepping around the
as
rules by saying,
opposed
"Oh,
to
she was 17,
Michael
you were 18."
being like, oh, not saying either one of them is right, and I ain't cancel either one of them. I will still listen to both of their music to this day. I don't give a fuck because I don't care. It's not my business. I don't care personally, and I'm desensitized enough to have not gone through the shit personally, and no shade to anybody who has, and I'm sorry for that. However, I don't care. I'm not gonna hold that weight on me, so I don't give a fuck. They're great artists, and that's that. I don't know them as people, so I don't give a fuck about them as people personally. So when it comes down to it, you clearly made my point saying that he knew what he was doing when he was lying about Aaliyah's age, went out of his way to get married to her, was making age ain't nothing but a number, was writing the lyrics, slipping in the shit he was. You can't tell me that wasn't
Okay, I get what you're saying. So R. Kelly, Michael was saying disturbing things, but at least he
Like
really
he didn't
in his
even
head
realize
thought,
it was
like, that's
disturbing.
crazy. Okay, I get what you're saying.
It was a pure ignorance thing to me personally. I feel like, yeah, he wasn't doing things right, but between his stunted growth and his lack of truly understanding situational awareness, it seemed, and boundaries with age groups, it's not right. But this nigga R. Kelly was a predator.
But he still. But I feel like
we're not saying Michael should not have gotten any punishment. We're not saying Michael wasn't no predator.
I also feel like Kells needed help at the fact that, like we was just saying, going around. Oh, she's 19, she's 18. It's like, nigga, if you get off on a case like that, nigga, you should be trying to date somebody that's 80 to prove a point. Why are you still like playing with fire? Oh, she's 18. Oh, she's 19. So it's like now you gonna get what you got coming to you.
Your point about Hugh Hefner, I find that shit nasty too. Like you've been waiting, like you remember the Bad Barbie girl or whatever.
Bad Baby.
Bad Baby.
Oh yeah,
whatever.
her OnlyFans. Yeah,
niggas was waiting for her to turn.
I remember that disgusted me too.
Weird.
That disgusted.
That
me
is so weird.
And the fact that it was out 2 days after her 18th birthday. I was like, wait a minute. So there's no investigation of when the content was made?
Like really? And then my thing is, it's just like, so, like, bro, that mean y'all just be staring at 16, 17 years old as soon as she turned 13.
And she been famous since she was 13.
Yeah,
so really,
it's just like that
13,
junk is weird. And that's what Hugh Hefner does. Like, he be sitting there staring at you. I can understand if, like, you just so happen to meet her when she is 18 or something like that. That's not. It's still a little bit weird. You looking at a girl that young, but it's not the whole. Oh, I'm just waiting. Oh, I'm just waiting. Like, oh, I'm just waiting. Like that's weird.
Another thing is too. That was like the reason I also didn't look at the. Again, this is me not. I'm not saying I believe or don't believe. I'm just saying like I would have to take that for face value of like, oh, he had a sex code. He had sex slaves. I would have to believe all of that, and I didn't look into that enough to believe or not believe.
That's fair.
So all I'm going off of is what I do know. And as far as the Aaliyah thing and the other 15-year-old girl or whatever, between those two things, it seems like back in the day that was more of a normalized thing of where you had like certain men that was like 30 something and they was allowed to date 16 or 17-year-old women, sometimes even get permission to get married. Tiger was 25 years old when he started messing with Kylie
I was just
Jenner.
finna say that.
You know what I mean? Like Diddy's baby mama for I think it's Justin Combs. People don't talk about the fact that his mom was 16 years old when he had him.
I didn't know.
Of course you don't.
I didn't.
You know what I'm saying? But that's not put on the same forefront.
Fair.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and it should be.
Like, and that was at the same. Diddy's around the same age as Diddy. I mean, Diddy's around the same age as R. Kelly from the same exact era. When Aaliyah was probably around the same age as his baby mama at that time. His baby mama, who was real good friends with Mary J. Blige, she was just on her documentary, and I was thinking in my head, like, how is nobody asking these questions about these certain things? Because a lot of these celebrities been doing that shit, and I'm not saying that makes it right, but like I think it's a difference between you flat out calling somebody a pedophile, which I did call R. Kelly, but it's a difference between flat out calling somebody a pedophile versus somebody who's dealing with, like a 16 to 17-year-old and the parents is like, oh, we're cool with it. We're going to sign off on it because that was more of a normalized culture back then. I literally just finished watching a Good Times episode where his dad was fighting with one of Thelma's boyfriends that happened to be like in his late 30s dealing with his 17-year-old daughter. And it wasn't looked at as like, oh, he's a predator or a pedophile. It was just like, nigga, you too damn old for her while you with her.
But just like the point that you made to her about when we was talking about who eats first, just because it's tradition and just because it was
don't make it right. For sure.
Make it right.
For sure. But is it cool for you to disgrace one person, but then everybody else is just like you don't bat an eye?
What I'm saying is, all of society was wrong for letting this shit happen. That's my whole point. All of society.
Like I said, you talking about like certain aspects of when he's older and stuff. I watched the documentary, so I'm seeing people's accounts of being around him when he's around high schools and middle schools outside waiting and picking out girls and being predatory as fuck, period. I don't care what day and age you in. Any grown man looking at high schoolers as they come out of school waiting for them, openly lingering for that reason.
You are a creep.
Okay. And then on top of that, that's not just on him. He had the avenues to help him.
He was enabled.
Because
100%.
everybody
He was
enabled him
100%
around. Nobody
enabled.
wants to say nothing about him bringing young underage girls to the studio in the bed and fucking in the back while he.
It was
go
cool
rotate
as long
between
as
the
he was
bitches.
making all these companies
Yeah,
millions of dollars.
like with
Nobody
Jeffrey
cared.
Epstein,
That's
when
my
they did,
point.
it took them forever to arrest the woman that was with him.
Just like
She was up there taking them girls on shopping sprees, telling them to go
Right.
to massage
She was
them old
recruiting
men.
them. She was picking them out.
You need to come to jail too, baby. Come on, like everybody involved is dead wrong. Y'all nasty, and like, bro,
Man.
like how, like it's grown men. Y'all sat up there and said, you know what, the check's still clearing, so we gonna let Kel just touch on
That's
these
exactly
little girls.
what they did.
And that's what
exactly what they did.
Like y'all really like
He was still when that documentary came out. He was still on Sony's. He was still on Sony Records at that time.
But if
This
he
stuff
even
has
feels
been.
like-
That tape came out when I was in probably third grade, bro. That tape that he had with that girl came out when I was in third grade.
I was like 3
And
years old.
If Kels would have stopped right then, he wouldn't be looked at as legendary as he's looked at because he had a whole career after that that y'all let go. So
a whole
I'm not
Boondocks
jumping on this
episode about it.
bandwagon of F.R. Kelly and mute this nigga. No, I'm not doing all of that spit because y'all should have did that spit back in '94 when this nigga's on an album cover talking about aging nothing but a number, marrying a 15-year-old. And if that wasn't enough for you to call him a pedophile, then that means you clearly got a different agenda right now
That's
that I'm
fair.
not hopping on because
fair.
like I said, I called him a pedophile when it wasn't even popular to call him that.
That's fair.
So that's my
That's
take
fair.
on that. If
That's fair.
anything y'all want to
I
add?
feel like it's not too surprising that something related to this will be still allowed, still turn a blind eye to, because let's talk about the very root of shit like this in the black community. Family members, families and kids being whole ass molested and raped by family members, and what we do, say nothing.
They
Boy.
still can
They
come to
don't
things.
say
Just
nothing. They
don't
wanna
leave the
keep up-
the kids in
keep
there.
up
Uncle
the,
No
James.
lie, bro.
The appearance.
I have a relative, that's all I will call him, that lives here in LA. If I saw him today, I would go to jail for what he did to my sister. I would, bro, I can't even put into words. She didn't tell me for years, bro.
Look, bro, and
She didn't tell me
to
for
add to that,
years,
bro,
bro.
that's another thing. I've heard I just had a post about this recently. I've heard way too many stories of black women that I'm close with that have told me stories about, oh yeah, I got molested at this time, or yeah, like this person was raping me, and just telling me in a normal tone. And I'm like, my thing, what I'm starting to go to is, what is y'all black fathers doing? Are y'all niggas not protecting y'all effing daughters or something? Because how often do we hear about one of our homeboys or somebody that we associate with being a molester or rapist? Almost never.
I
But
don't
yet
never
every
hear
black woman is saying that she has a story of being molested or raped.
And I'm
So what is we missing here?
Sometimes it's the dads doing it.
and it's
Yeah,
just like,
exactly.
to the
That as well.
And sometimes for the moms, they don't want to nip shit in the bud because there's a demographic of women who feel like they jealous of their daughter. It's your fault for making my boyfriend look at you. There was a whole demographic in the time here for that. And there's the ones who want to ignore it because no, not our family. Couldn't be us. No, it's too perfect.
Aaliyah's parents still right now are denying that she married R. Kelly. Right now they're still denying it.
There's always gonna be that sheltering, whether it's a woman trying to be in denial about the man she with and the truth about the man she with, if he is the offender, or wanting to discredit their daughter or child because it might not be that, it's that white shit for some people, for other people, not my family, for other people, no, let me dismiss what you're saying because I might have got molested and it wasn't right for me to talk about it. So you for sure can't talk about it. And if I had to stick through it, you got to stick through it. And that projected family cycle, that curse, that generational curse, is still propelled through women, through families. Why did Grandma stay with Grandpa for all these years? Because she had to.
Right.
Like for
she was being beaten and
the
abused.
way it
She
happened
had to.
in the family was like, my mama was like, nah, like, bro, we need to address this immediately. My uncle asking, so what did you do to make this happen? What did you do to make your cousin rape you?
Yeah.
So then,
That's
like,
big in our
and then,
community,
like,
too.
my
Big
grandma,
shit.
she the peacemaker, so she's just like, it's water under the bridge. That's not, I love my grandma, God rest her soul,
That's
but
how a lot of our old schools.
but
been
it's
doing.
it's not water under the fucking bridge. To this day, my sister is affected by that. And to this day, I feel responsible for it because it happened during my baseball game. Everybody left the house for my baseball game. If I just would not have a game that day, that nigga couldn't have did what he did. My sister might be okay today.
Right.
Don't
Like,
put that on you.
and it like she
I
tell me
know-
all
I
the
know
time
you
not to,
can,
but
but
it's just like it just pisses me off like that. Like, and I don't talk to that uncle no more because he said something like that. Like, it's just like it enrages me that the black family is like this.
The
Like,
dynamic is skewed.
because
And
it
it's-
broke up
and-
the whole family.
Hey, and I'm glad you mentioned that because even even like I said, I was calling R. Kelly that before. I don't know if y'all remember the Boondocks episode.
Yeah, oh yeah,
Aaron
yeah,
Magruder touched on that and had Huey
Everybody-
say exactly what you just
everybody
said.
was
Why are
looking
y'all
at Huey
Why are y'all
crazy.
so normalized to this? That episode came out and everybody just went back to their lives.
Niggas
like
was laughing
nothing
at
just
it like
happened.
it was funny, but that's really what
And-
y'all
and-
The
doing.
real show about the black community. To this
Real
day.
to this day.
To
To this
To
day.
break down how black community.
I tell
and
people all the
society
time
work.
how underrated that
Bruh,
show is with having a
No,
message every
yeah,
episode.
oh yeah,
And that's why I was
Episode.
taken off air
Yeah.
abruptly the way it was.
They-
Absolutely. It
'cause
had
they
to.
was-
They was putting people on too much.
They was putting black people on to what was happening in their community and the
Right.
things that they doing wrong and the things that how society
And
is
the
putting
best way to
pressures on them
understand stuff
and
is
things
through
like that.
entertainment.
Shout out Aaron
Yeah.
Magruder, man. Fuck what you
Man,
talking
real.
about.
100,
Yeah.
100. And honestly, like, just with all this being said, man, it scares the hell out of me for having a daughter.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Because it's like you would think you could protect your daughter or you could protect your cousin or your sister or whoever, and it's like I ain't gonna say sometimes, most of the time it be in-home spit of people you would never think. You know what I'm saying? And then you end up not like, again, all these women that have told me this spit, they probably never even really talked about it to a therapist or somebody close to them until they was like,
Let me
grown.
ask you this. There was in New York they had like a sexual education video for like first graders.
Masturbation.
And people were pissed because they were teaching these kids what their private parts were. And I don't know if you've been around many kids. Kids will touch their private parts regardless. Right there in public. They were telling them, you can do this in private, just don't do it in public. Right. And they were telling them, these are your private parts. They are yours. You can't, like, just because an adult says, oh, da-da this, da-da that, doesn't mean you have to do it. And people took such issue with it. But that goes hand in hand with when a child is being molested and just doing whatever an adult tells them to do.
They don't have the language to be able to
to understand.
that something's not right.
Yes.
Or to even talk about what happened half the time.
'Cause
Sometimes they don't even know what anatomy to talk about or point to, or a no-no spot ain't gonna get you the answers you need in a certain traumatic situation. It's not.
My girl was actually just telling me a story about somebody that she knew, or some parents that she knew that they had like a daughter, and there was like a family that daughter had a good relationship with, to where she would go over there like, hey, go get some sugar or go get some this for me. Like, she was cool with that family the whole time. Come to find out, the man of that family was raping her daughter for years, and she didn't know. And the reason that she never was able to find out was because the daughter didn't even know something wrong was taking place. She was just going along with what he was doing, thinking like that was okay. And then once it finally came out, it was like, whoa, like, and people around the neighborhood was like, we would never expect that. Like, he was such a good guy, all of that, but he was doing this to this girl for years without knowing, because she didn't know exactly what you were talking about.
And they'll still be
right
quick
now.
to be like, and what did she do to have this happen?
Yeah,
What
like
was she wearing? How was she got
Yeah, that's
What's she
disgusting
sitting
that
on
people
his
talk
lap?
like
What's she
that.
doing this? Like that victim shaming
That-
shit. I used to be that way.
That I ain't gonna lie, I did too until I realized
I realized
women
a lot
have
of
been
different
getting
things.
raped since the beginning of time. When they could,
Centuries.
when you could show nothing but from here on up in your hands.
Women was still
Tell me
raped.
how you showing off a figure with that. There's nothing that you can wear that would make somebody rape you. There's nothing that you could say that should make somebody rape you. It's wrong.
Yeah.
It should
don't
not be
matter.
done.
If it's
Man,
perceived-
woman, child, don't
if they
matter. It
think
should
you
not
have a
happen.
vagina in between your legs, you're a target. If you have any holes at this point, which is male or female,
You a target.
you a target. That's trans. That's otherwise. It don't really matter. If you got an orifice that's open, it's gonna be used for some people. Some people are not ruthless.
Yeah.
For some people, don't matter. For some people, that's the thing. Like, and it's unfortunate to say the least.
Very much so.
Very.
I
But
can't.
thank y'all for y'all input, man. And we did reach that milestone. This is our longest
Damn.
episode ever yet.
It was
This is our 11th
charged. It was
episode. My
charged.
guy right
Yeah,
here,
sir.
man.
I'm glad I could help
Appreciate you,
y'all
bro.
out break that record.
You know what I'm saying? Whoso miss you, big dog.
Right,
Get
where
back
you
to
Oh,
us.
yeah,
at?
definitely.
Come on.
Yeah, come
Like,
back. They gonna need you because I'm going
He
after
can't be
that.
able to carry us.
Oh no, you
forever.
coming back?
No, I'm saying I'm coming back, but I'm not
gotta
gonna be
go.
a
He gotta
regular
go.
every
He gotta
single
come.
time. They need you back, partner. Come on.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Give
But
it.
yeah, man, y'all continue to support, man. Make sure y'all like, comment,
Definitely.
subscribe, man. Let's take this to the furthest extent. Y'all can reach us at allgrindmedia21@gmail.com, at the AGM podcast on Instagram. Y'all can search us on any major media platform to find the podcast. I think Apple Music is All Grind Media. Everything else, the AGM podcast. Your shameless plugs, man.
You can hit me on Instagram at @sameold_ and follow the same olds at _official_same olds. We'll be dropping music constantly
Sir.
now. And you can follow my podcast at The Antidote Productions. It's gonna come back real
Yeah,
soon.
man. Y'all
Thank
see
you
the
so much.
energy he brings. So make sure y'all go check my guy out,
Thank
man.
you,
I
thank
remember
you.
when we was both in the early stages of our podcast and we was kind of chopping it up. So, you know what I'm saying? When you supporting him, you supporting us and vice versa.
Definitely.
And we
I'm saying?
supporting black business.
Oh, yeah,
100%.
So it's gonna happen.
And make sure y'all follow our queen as well.
Definitely.
Obviously, I'm gonna have all of our Instagrams at the bottom as
Real
always.
quick, I'm officially a co-owner of the corporation.
Hey,
Southern Roots Barbecue. So go check it out for your girl. When we
Okay.
have dinners,
Yes,
the weekends
sir.
we do, I will be posting about it, but be sure to check in because I'm telling you, best food from the South you gonna have on the West. Know that. And yeah, we incorporated
open
now.
today?
No, not today. We do certain
My God.
weekends, but we're incorporated now. It's official, and anything from there moving forward is it's a wrap. We're gonna be successful. So,
Okay, for sure.
Absolutely.
tune in.
All right, man. Thank y'all for tuning
Have a good
in.
one.
Peace. See y'all later.
Adi.